I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What's up, guys? We are back with our final after show for this season of Love and Hip Hop Miami. We are getting ready to break down the reunion special of part 2. I am not alone, of course. I am joined by my lovely co-host, Miss Jeroslyn Johnson. How are you doing today, girl?
Hey, girl. Hey, I'm so excited to talk about this reunion because it was so lit. It was a lot.
It was a lot going on. We have a lot to talk about. Clearly, I want to talk about. We got to talk about Trina's explosion. We got to talk about her exit and how Bobby pretty much had to pull her together to come finish the reunion. We have to talk about Briscoe and Cello. We talking about that first because that was insane. All the tea that we got on him today, yesterday when it aired. We have to talk about the BAPS tour and just their whole little recap of how they went through the person saying the N-word and the Brown Square brunch. We got to talk about all of that, and we got to talk about I guess just follow-ups. Like they did a lot of recaps later, just following up on Hood and her relationship.
I liked how smooth this one went, and I think it was because Prima Donna wasn't involved.
She wasn't. Oh my God, I forgot she wasn't there. So yeah, we got to talk about all of that with Hood, Brett, Sukihana, Trick, and Joy, just how they are now. We have our special segment, and then we're gonna just wrap up. I'm so sad that this is our final for now, but we'll
final for now. They could still see us.
Yeah.
See us on the tube.
So, okay, what were your overall thoughts on part 2 of Love and Hip Hop Miami reunion?
I mean, I honestly thought because typically part 2s aren't as lit as part 1s, and it's kind of like it's just a smooth closeout to the season. But part 2, I was not expecting to get all that tea on Briscoe, and then even the talk that they had with Trick Daddy about his health. It was actually really engaging because he's just was being so stubborn and closed off to it. Then with Sukihana, speaking on her motherhood and defending her motherhood despite her antics on social media, and even seeing Hood Brat open up about her story and her situation with Kenny. It was just a lot of information, and then still just seeing how Nikki Natural was talking all that mess back there. It was just really, and honestly, because I saw people like Shade and Kendall on Instagram during part 1, but I think he did a good job. I think he did a great job. Yeah, I thought he was funny, shady in the right way.
I feel like he held back a lot, though. Like, overall, I thought it was a good season, too. But piggybacking on Kendall, I used to watch The Best Friend and Chill. And we know that's how he got his start and how he kind of got introduced and put on. And it's just a blessing in general how that brought him to this level. So shout out to Kendall. But I thought he could give more. Like, I don't know if television kind of toned him down, but when he does it at home, we see he really goes in on folks. So maybe
I'm not sure if they might have edited it out, like the things he probably said. But we all want him to be going in on the lace fronts, and even though everybody's lace front looked good on the show, on the reunion,
they looked great this reunion.
He could have talked about some of those previous lace fronts that we had seen during the
He
season.
tried to sprinkle it in. He did. And Shay was kind of like, well, mine is good today. So
that's why I think they might have edited what he set out. Or I don't know, he kept it cute and kept it on mute.
He did a good job. And also, I liked how with these reunions, how they included, I don't know if we talked about it last week, but just the importance of voters registration. He was out, in the field, making sure everybody was registering to vote. Then we had the scenes between him and Trick Daddy and all of that. But while we're on Kendall, I want to just dive into Trina's explosion. So he kind of got all the heat with that. I don't know if you remember, but when she left, she went off and was like, I don't remember what she said verbatim, but she definitely said something directed towards him, kind of about being shady or
basically
something. She was just don't talk to me like that.
Right.
Yeah. So how do you feel about Trina's exit? Do you think that she was over the top with how she responded to things? Yes, we know Nikki Natural has been someone who has been disrespectful from day one, but do you think she needed to do all of that? Do you think she let her emotions override the situation?
When you are the queen HBIC, you have to make a statement And honestly, I'm the wrong person to ask. I wish we had
right,
Alfie
I know you
here.
like to pop off. Yes.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Alfie, he would speak from a different take and say that he would have liked to see her be a more demure because she's already paved the way. And I'm saying what Alfie would say because because I'm gonna still get back to what I'm gonna say. So she could be demure. You don't have to stoop down to these girls' level or even let them take you out of your element because you're a queen. You've already paved the way. Now, coming from Jeroslyn, I think
Jeroslyn.
when a chick disrespects you, you got to make your voice heard, especially when it's somebody that's full of so much crap like Nikki. And then I remember she had already said what she said. Then Nikki went backstage. Then she said those extra nasty comments to Kendall, and that's what made Trina. And then they could still hear her up there. So it's like I feel like I would have went off too. She made her royal exit. I like that Bobby talked her into coming back.
We know why Bobby did that though. He needed to be seen. Okay.
Okay. He was doing the most too. But I was here for Trina's meltdown, and I think Nikki deserved it. And you see she stayed there quiet as a church mouse. As she should. And she's lucky that Trina only kept the attack verbal. I'm here for it, Trina. You are the queen. You the baddest. And you made sure it was her. She was like, period. I don't care.
Period. She made sure. But first of all, let's be clear. If they would have opened that door, she would have put some hands on her. Like, oh yeah. She did not care about television, none of that in this moment. She was just like, I don't remember what street she said. She said it last week.
15th Avenue.
She brought that person out. That's where she's from, and that's who she was in that moment.
But wait, there was one more. Because speaking of where somebody said where they're from, when Amara said where she's from, and Bobby was like, "Oh my God!" It's like Bobby, be quiet.
And you know what? It's so funny because Trick called out Bobby on this episode. Did you hear him? He was like, "Stop trying to be the host. You are not the host." And Bobby was just like, "You trying to flirt with the new host, Claudia?" But that was hilarious because we've been saying, like, we were saying last week before it was even made known that Bobby was doing a lot. Like, Trick needed to put him in this place at that moment.
It's because he his makeup was done well. He got those new teeth, those new lips. He's like, you gonna
that
see
pink
me.
Suit on.
He like Tory Lanez with the new hairline. You're gonna see me. The world is gonna see me.
Oh my God. But I mean, kudos to Bobby for getting Trina together and just reminding her, like, we got to finish strong. Don't let this girl get to you. Personally, I understood where she was coming from, but I was happy that she came back because I just feel like Trina is bigger than that. And she did not need someone who is as irrelevant as Nikki, making her do an absolute exit to the reunion.
Yeah, don't exit because it's like at the end of the day, a girl like Nikki, like just give her a good read.
Give her a good read.
Do it to Nene. Nene doesn't leave.
Nene is gonna sit
there and dig in your ass with every low blow she could think of. That's the kind of person I am. Like, I'm a dig in you. I'm not gonna exit. I'm gonna sit right here and read you to filth. I'm gonna say the worst things I know that are gonna hurt your feelings because you done pissed me off. Gotta do.
Noted. So do not get on Jeroslyn's bad side. Noted. But okay, speaking of people getting on bad sides, we want to make sure we stay on you guys' good side so you can continue to watch us grow and evolve as hosts. Jeroslyn, can you please let everyone know how they can stay in tune with AfterBuzz even during this quarantine time?
Yes, even during the quarantine, just like us, subscribe, give us 5 stars if you're listening to us on iTunes, and continue to just tune in week after week because we're still here giving you great content. And thank you for making us the ESPN of
TV talk. Yes. Okay, so all of the talk was on Briscoe this episode. I'm
gonna get into him.
Okay, so if you guys watched last night, you guys know that it was revealed that Briscoe has not been who he said he was this whole season. He's giving us his sob story about prison, how he just wanted his family back, this. And then it's revealed in the reunion that this whole time he has been messing around on cello with members of the show, with Chameleon and with Miami Tip. And there may be a little baby out of this whole cheating thing because Chameleon claims that she did not get her period. So I'm not even gonna ask you no questions. Go ahead and read Briscoe.
First of all, you can't trust nobody with those big old teeth. I said that from day one, and y'all was in there like, oh, no. Them big ass veneers. It's full of lies. Okay. Then when he did that, remember there was that one scene when he like did a nice little setup for cello, and I said it was nice for TV because that's all it was. It was for TV. I told you couldn't trust that dude. Then from the scene when he gave advice to Hood Brat about her ain't nothing dude, and told her to stay with him. Why? Because he ain't nothing either.
But we said that though. We said, why did she even seek advice from him in the first place? Because his relationships are on the rocks. You don't ask people who are dealing with the same thing you're dealing with for advice.
Did he not think it was all that was going to come up? One, two. The fact that it came out and he was just sitting. He even kind of insinuated when they asked him. He made it seem like, Cello. She got a good head on her shoulders. She. We're going to talk about this later. As if he's going to be able to talk in her, get in her ear, and they'll be back together.
So let's talk about that, because I was completely just blown at the fact at how she handled it. If that was me, everybody was getting smacked, from him to Chameleon to Miami Tip to everybody else that was kikiing, because at this point she was just humiliated on stage. Right. Like, Chameleon was super calm about it, just like, yep, I ain't have my period. Then Miami Tip, like, well, I ain't want to say nothing, but I was messing with him too. And I expected her to flip out. Like, the whole little mush that she did, I expected her to do more. When she sat on the couch, I understand like being classy in a sense, but to me, she literally just let them dog walk her. And even the whole cast, like from Bobby Light to Joy to everybody, was just sitting laughing like it was funny.
She did,
and it kind of made me mad. Like,
she seemed removed from the situation. Like, she had already, like she said, I'm not hurt, I'm disappointed, because I think she doesn't really expect too much from him already.
So you think that's just her knowing? It's just kind of just like, you know what, this don't surprise me. I'm not gonna act a fool.
That's what I think about it, because she is a pretty girl. Like he said, like, she's a catch. So he don't want her. I'm sure she probably already got a roster full of dudes that are checking for her. So all he did for her was make it easy. Like, you know what? We got our kids. Let's just take care of our kids and we'll leave it at that. But the fact that he's out here sliding up into other girls in the cast with no protection.
Let's start there. It's too much going on for you to just be like careless. Like, I understand, like he said, he was in jail, he lacked the attention, blah, blah, blah. Cool, I get that. But you still need to protect yourself. I don't know.
What is amazing is how he was portrayed on this season, but by the reunion, we're now looking at him as a Stevie J.
Wow, he is the Stevie J of Love and Hip Hop Miami.
So it will be interesting to see his storyline next season, because they're gonna bring him back for sure.
Yeah, he has to come back. It's wow. I just feel betrayed at this point.
Right, because we were all defending him at first.
We were rooting for him, getting his life back on track and doing this just for. It was like mask off at the reunion.
Because then let's take it back. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, even when they first brought up the segment, when they first, introduced and told back their storyline of what was going on the show, he was still just like, we just trying to work it out. I was credit card scamming. That's why I went to jail. And, I'm an embarrassment to my family, blah, blah, blah. But as soon as, Kendall was like, oh, Chameleon had something to say, it's like the whole mask ripped off. It was just like, oh, this is the real you. And in a sense, it was scary, because you are so slick and sly that you can make people believe anything. How easy of a transition that was for him, I don't know.
And that's why he's a cheater. Those are the best cheaters. But to think of that scene earlier in the season when he was with his son and talking about how he wanted to gain his trust back, and it's like, how do you think your son will react to seeing you play out his mom on TV? So I don't know. I really hope that I don't think he's going to change. And of course, he's fresh out of jail, so he's trying to make up for lost time. But at the same time, I would at least like to see him, maybe somewhat turn into a young jock. Just start to have more respect for the woman that you're choosing to be with.
Girl,
seriously.
barely young jock. The love
Barely,
of hip hop Atlanta.
barely.
Look,
But it's just like, because to me, I just feel like these dudes are all the same. I really do. And that's why they all get along so well, because they know that they're out here just being frivolous with the ladies who just seem so vulnerable and wanting love and affection from a man. Yeah. Even if it's somebody else's man.
I also wanted to just ask you how, because okay, we've had our talks about just like, we know Love and Hip Hop is animated. So it kind of makes you not really know if what's really happening in their lives is real from what on the show. But we talked about last week kind of how it kind of seemed more real, like when we started getting the extra tea and like the inside scoop of what wasn't shown on camera. But with this particular scene with Briscoe revealing it, I kind of felt like it was kind of acted out in a way too. I just feel like everyone's response was not how they should have responded. And I don't know if it's just because they knew what was gonna go down or what, but I don't know. Do you think it was kind of like fake or planned?
Not so much planned, but I think everyone probably in the cast knew that Briscoe was cheating or playing games on the girl. So when it came out, it wasn't too much of a surprise because they knew. Maybe they were even surprised that didn't make it into the season. Because clearly it was shot. It was shot when it happened.
Right,
so.
And that Love and Hip Hop. What is up with these?
Maybe
these random clips?
So that's what I'm saying. It was clearly production that purposely waited to hold that moment for the reunion to confront and embarrass Cello.
Okay.
And
all right.
And we don't necessarily know if prior to the reunion, Briscoe, and I would hope he did. It seemed like I hope he did, because you're saying action wasn't what you would expect it. He probably told her, like, look, this is what happened. I want to be the first to tell you before you see it on TV.
You giving him that much credit, Jeroslyn?
I'm hoping so. With them big ass teeth.
Too. I also kind of felt a way about how Chameleon responded to. Now I like Chameleon. I like her music. I think I really, between her and Sukihana, I really feel like they have a promising career. They're very talented, but I kind of felt some type of way just for her as a woman to kind of just be okay with her part in it. I get it, he may have told her that they weren't together and things like that, but even how she responded after the news was relayed to her, it was kind of just like, yeah, I F your nigga and I'm about to have his baby. Did you get that kind of vibe from her also, or do you think she was kind of just like, what's done is done? I don't know. It made me feel like she was kind of sneaky too.
No, it seemed like she went there with an agenda. Remember, she had already said it to Kendall and she was ready to spill the tea. But I think it was more so because she was ready to confront him because she knows that he was full of crap. But also, I have my own opinion on just girls of that caliber. And I can say I wasn't too surprised by her reaction to kind of being like, not even really a side joint, because it's not like he really had a main joint. It was just like, you were just one of his joints after he got out of prison, and now you might be pregnant. And she's just like,
whatever.
I'm gonna see me next season now. I got a real storyline now.
Listen, it was more so like, yep, I done secured the bag. What is this, season 4?
I just secured about 2 more seasons. And it's funny when you said that Suki and Chameleon have the most promising careers, because I low-key felt like it was shade when Claudia asked Hood Brat if she had a plan B if rap.
Okay, let's just go ahead and get into that, because I wanted to talk about that actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wanted, and I was gonna ask you about that too. So, okay, let's talk about the Babs tour. They kind of recapped how that went. They got the chance to throw their shade at Alvin about how, he did an awful job of booking, their first tour date. And it was kind of just like, how can you do this when you were Trina's manager? You know what to do. And Hood Rat kind of made a good point. She was just like, you're supposed to look up, as a manager, you look up venues, you look up hotels. You don't just pop up. Like we have so many resources these days. There's no reason why he should not have known that place up and down. But we kind of learned on the tour, the real reason why Sukihana didn't want to perform. Remember when they were there, we were kind of just like, dang, like, why she acting like that? Like, Chameleon just like, whatever, they paying me, boom, I'm about to do it. But Suki revealed on the reunion that the reason why she kind of was, standoffish was because when she was rapping or whatever, she said something and somebody quoted a lyric back and said the N-word, and she flipped out. They had a debate on the show, and I wanted to ask your opinion on it. Pretty much about just the use of the N-word. Like, we all know that it is a very sensitive topic, a sensitive word, but do you necessarily think when people create music like this that they should be offended when other people may slip up and say it? Or do you think, how can I put this to term? Like, do you think they should just eliminate the word in general to not, cause this to happen? Or do you think they should continue what they're doing and, people that aren't Black should just not say the N-word?
Right. Well, I mean, first I want to say, I don't know why production chose to hold that moment for the reunion. I felt like it should have been a part of the episode so that it could have created more of a conversation when it happened. And now, I do understand why Suki felt away. It's not so much that I feel people who aren't Black shouldn't use the N-word. Growing up in New York, it's just a different kind of culture. So people who are just with us, which are primarily Spanish people, they use the N-word and we don't make a big deal about it because we're all together. We're in the same culture, community. However, in a place like Florida, in places like Houston, I understand it is extremely different. They're not hanging out together. They're not really going to the same schools. They're not having the same exact issues at the same time. And I can understand why it would offend her for a white woman to be saying the N-word in the way, even if it wasn't the way she was saying it, just because of where they're at. However,
okay, so you think it was just in general, the vicinity and culture.
Yes, but at the same time, I still just feel like Suki, it was surprising to see her take it that serious when it's just like, the way you act on social media is like, what if, a young girl, like, okay, so it's a white woman coming up to you rapping your lyrics and you don't like it. So what if it's a 12-year-old girl 12-year-old Black girl coming up to you rapping your lyrics? Are you going to have the same reaction to her when it's not about the N-word in that regard. It's about her talking about put this all in my throat.
Yeah.
It's still the same of like, this is what happens when you make this kind of music. People relate to it, whether they're Black, white, 12, 21. If I'm making the music, and that's where I like when I see rappers like, it wasn't YG, but I think like Little Uzi Vert, ASAP Rocky. Yeah, ASAP Rocky, where they don't care because I made the music. If you're singing my music because you bump with my music and you bump with my culture, I don't care because I know you're not putting the strong ER at the end of it. You're putting the A on the end of it. And that to me is a cultural thing. It's about hip hop culture, embracing of hip hop culture, which is why I don't get offended when I hear, my spouse is not Black, but he uses the word because he listens to hip hop and all his friends are Black. And it's like, you don't get offended. It's like you choose to get offended now. Cause there's been times where, old neighborhoods I lived in New York, like in the Bronx, and I heard like a bunch of like whitish kids using the, with the A at the end. And it did rub me differently only because it's like, I don't see you really in the culture like that. So I
don't necessarily know.
Yes, but because I know it's like a tit for tat kind of thing. Me personally, I don't really have an opinion on it. I don't tell people not to use the word. I use the word, but like not a lot. I'm not like out here dropping N-bombs like that. But at the same time, I personally don't make a big deal about it because I just feel it's contradictory. But
and
I
that's
understand.
How I feel.
I understand the Black people who don't want nobody who's not Black.
Period. And I get it. But being honest, it is kind of a contradiction. I'm Black and, I don't use the word, but when I'm singing songs, I do say it. But I it's a very touchy subject. And I don't even know if I should get into depth about it because people are going to be talking crazy in the comments. Yeah. But it's kind of just, I guess we'll just leave it as it's the way you say it. It's the same word, but there's different meanings. And I feel like when you say NIGGA, it's more like, what's up? But ER is like, you're racist. So I don't know. Okay,
just wait. One more thing I want to add though. What I would like to see, but everybody's different. Like I really would have liked to see Suki handle that with more class and more of a takeaway for anybody who was watching or could have, the white people that were there. They were not using it in a racist way. They were using it in a way that we use it, but they weren't mindful of the fact that, she didn't want you to say it. But at the same time, they were supporting you and your music. So I would have liked for her to just kind of be like, okay, girl, I see you over there, but you just make sure you bleep out that N-word next time.
Right.
So keep it cute. Just show her like, all right, girl, I support you, you support me, but be mindful of that. But when you're sitting there, she starts calling them names, then you start saying racist slurs. It's like, now that's what their takeaway is from it.
Yeah.
So of course they're going to probably be like, I'm gonna use the word if I want to.
Right. Yeah, it's such a touchy subject, but I just want, Claudia had kind of mentioned like, is that setting mixed messages? And from what she said, I kind of do think
she asked amazing questions.
Yeah, and it does send, mixed messages. It's just touchy and whatever. I guess it works for now, but it's kind of like the B word too. Like people get offended when you say the B word, but it's kind of just like how you say it. I don't know. Maybe we should just eliminate both words.
No, I call all my girls the B word, but I let a man, I don't like hearing men use it. And it's the same way. I know. It's the same way.
It's the same way. But okay, so I want to talk about the Brown Girls Brunch. You're speaking of Sukihana, and they kind of called her out in a sense for, representing, sisterhood and things like that. But she didn't invite Nikki Natural, and she was not mad about it. She did not regret it. She was just like, I feel like you're messy, blah, blah, blah. What was your stance on that? Do you think she should have opened the door to her since she's saying that she's all about sisterhood? Or
no, so Nikki's not a sister. She doesn't practice sisterhood. I don't even understand why that was a question. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, girl, we don't like each other. She stole my phone. We done got into multiple altercations. Why am I inviting this girl over here unless we throwing hands? What? That didn't make no sense to me.
I mean, look, Claudia was just like, look, you say you represent sisterhood, so why wasn't she invited? It was kind of just like one of those questions, like we knew why she wasn't. But I wanted to talk about how Shay did not defend Nikki at all this reunion. Now, I had forgot that Shay and Nikki were cool. I forgot that she was a part of the whole still in the phone and they was kikiing on the bleachers about it. Did that change your views on Shay? Because we've talked about all season just about how Shay is and her demeanor and how she is as a woman. And Alfie, always tried to break down why she was the way she was so we can kind of understand her logic and how she thinks. Do you think she is not as real as she has said she is and has proven herself to be by letting Nikki literally get dragged the whole season? She did not defend her not once. And Sukihana called her out on it.
Yeah, I think that was funny. And we definitely saw Shay she is misunderstood in a lot of ways too, but then it's also like she just comes off wrong. Like even when she's defending herself, she just comes off just way too loud, aggressive, and arrogant in a way to where it's like you want to support her, but you're still just like, oh girl, shut up.
Right.
So I do feel like I'm happy she got called out on it because I did forget that as well. And I just don't understand because it's like, Shay, girl, you a veteran, girl. I've been watching you on reality TV since I was like,
since 2005.
Yes, and I'm in my 30s now, and I'm still watching you on reality TV. So it's like I don't want to still watch you on reality TV being messy, and we know you're that old. It's like
right.
And then Nikki at that, it's like in hindsight, I know she feels stupid. That's why she was quiet because Nikki only went on the reunion and made more of a fool of herself. I think if Nikki would have had more of a ground to stand on, maybe Shay would have stood up for her, but there was nothing to defend. So Shay just, stayed quiet.
Yeah, it was nothing to defend. I think Shay wants to be a part of that group too, low key, because even like at the end of the reunion when they just kind of did their recaps of like, just how they felt and everybody was, I love you and things like that. And Shay kind of even mentioned to them, like, to you three, I want to be able to, not necessarily have a relationship, but she pretty much said she wanted to be cordial. So do you think that may have had something to do with it? Like, is she trying to join the gang up team and she realized like, Nikki is not the girl that I should have been hanging out with?
They all want to make sure that they don't get squeezed out of next season. So it's like, even if you
it's
just
a
get
season thing at this point.
For real, like even if you just get invited to a little powwow so you could be in a scene next season, you got to maintain those relationships. Super fake and phony, but it is what it is. And Shay's trying to make sure that she maintains some relationships because it's like if Amara, it doesn't seem like, I'm not sure where Amara and MJ are going for next season. So it's like, where exactly is Shay and MJ's storyline gonna fit in? So Shay would need to kind of align herself with some of the other girls so that, you know, like she could be a JoJo.
A JoJo.
Because JoJo wasn't nothing but
off.
She was just a seat filler this season.
She was a seat filler.
She about to be like Prince.
She was for that one person. She was for that one segment about her claiming MJ and I don't know. But yeah, that was just a lot. I feel like those are the major topics. The rest of the season, the rest of the reunion, we kind of just got like followed up on like just little minor things that everyone was dealing with. So they kind of tapped in on Hood Brat and her relationship. She claims that, you know, she doesn't know where her stance is with her relationship right now, but he is still married. And according to her, he does not know when he's going to be getting a divorce. How do you just feel about that whole situation? Like with her continuing to deal with a man who hid a whole marriage from her.
Is the ratio of like quality men that low in Miami? It must be.
It
has to be. Because there's no way we would see all these beautiful women settling for what we're seeing them settle for. If if it wasn't like some LA situation where, you know, there ain't no good dudes out here.
Listen, look, you lucky because you're getting ready to
bring one from New York. I had to bring one from New York. Y'all can go to New York. New York got a good quality. Y'all got to just bring them where you at. You got to pull them out.
Clearly, you got to pull them. They can't be from that city.
No.
But no, I totally agree. I feel like she's kind of just settling in a sense. And it was kind of unfortunate for her to follow up on that, and there was still no progression of what was going on with that relationship. But we got to see a little bit more. She got emotional about her family issues and things like that. I really wanted Claudia to kind of tap more into, you know, her not weight of the family, but how she is providing for her family, because we kind of talked about how I feel like in a way she doesn't see how she's putting more pressure on her sister. Mm-hmm. And I wanted them to kind of tap more into that, but maybe that was just too personal. But they did talk about having a plan B, what you mentioned earlier. And her and Sukihana pretty much said like they don't have a plan B. And I actually wanted to ask your opinion on that because in a sense, I agree with them. I've never had a plan B. I always knew like I want to be a host and I just got to keep pushing and doing it. So what is your viewpoint on plan Bs? And do you think they have valid reasoning?
I feel like being a host is more of a ROI. Yeah, like it's more broad. There's more opportunities. Like when you want to be a rapper, everybody wants to be a rapper. You're on a show where everybody's trying to be a rapper. It's not even so much about having a plan B to me. I think it's just about being an adult and having common sense.
Got it. And it's like a strategy.
Also, like really, like because you got to think about like being a rapper. Like, do people really make it off of being a rapper? Not everybody makes it. So what are some other things you could do in business that still have to do with music? Like I've always talked to people about that, especially aspiring artists. I'm like, you don't always have to be Lil Wayne. You can be Birdman. Because Birdman from day one couldn't rap, but he's like, you know what? I'm putting my money behind these artists and start a record label, and then I'm putting
just tried to talk like him.
My whack ass rhymes. I'm gonna put my whack ass verse on songs periodically, and they just gonna have to listen because it's my stuff. Like, you know, like that, to me. I just feel like it's nothing wrong with having a realistic plan B that still feeds into your goals, your plan A.
Exactly. Yeah,
I think it's just being smart.
It's being smart. I totally agree. It's like, it's ways around it without making it a plan B. It can still be in the same, like for instance, for us, you know, let's use Oprah as an example. Yeah, she started off as hosting, but now she's executive producing and now she's doing this. So it's like, but it's still in the realm of television and things like that. So
exactly. You have to broaden your perspective.
That was a good point. Yes. Yeah. So if you are watching, viewers who have dreams and goals, broaden your perspective.
Yeah,
make sure you are learning the industry as a whole.
Yes. Like exactly. I know it's like working all these different jobs in media, like and wanting to be my own business owner. I know it's only going to make me that much of a better business owner because I've worked every position and I can feel my
maneuver.
Employee. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and then you just understand how it works. Like, I don't know, for me personally, we get off topic, but me personally, just learning how like executive producers for these shows think and things like that. That's important too for where you want to go, because it's like, okay, this is what they're looking for. So I need to make sure I'm aligning with their path. I don't know. You get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm done preaching though. But lastly, okay, before we wrap, because we're running out of time, Trick and Joy. Is there hope for Trick and Joy? Because they are still kind of just rocky. Like, we saw them kind of make up in the final episode before the reunion, and it still just kind of seems like they're just fighting for love.
It's like what Alfie said. Trick is not going to change. He is who he is. He literally is saying it in front of everybody now. Like, I don't care. I am who I am. I'm going to eat what I want to eat. I'm going to drink what I want to drink. My family lived to be 50s, 60s, whatever. And what it is with Joy is that she has such high expectations for him. She wants to see him do better. So to me, I think it's going to continue to be rocky because he's not going to change, and she's going to keep trying to push him to be better, but he doesn't want to. And I don't think she's going to settle for that. That's why she didn't. That's why they were going through the divorce before. So I think it'll be a continue of a love-hate relationship between them.
Yeah. I think Trina broke it down best when she said they're like best friends who hate each other. Like, they love each other, but they hate each other. And she said something about the relationship. I can't remember, so I'm not going to misquote her. But I thought it was a good point. Like, you love this person so much that you hate them. So it's kind of like, how do you deal with that? And I think it's just a mystery that everybody is trying to figure out, and hopefully they learn how to just filter through that. So wow. Season 2. I mean, yeah.
It was good. It was a lot. Part 2 was a lot. And overall, this was an amazing season. I really, really enjoyed this season of Love and Hip Hop Miami. I really did.
Same. I did too. So that leads us to our special segment. I wanted to switch it up this time, and we always talk about who brought the Miami heat of the episode, but let's talk about who brought the heat of the entire season, if we can remember, because I need to start like coming up with mine. But I guess, what moment of the show do you think was just like, dang, this made the season take a turn for the worst, the best, whatever?
Nikki Natural, for sure. Her blow up at the tryouts, the audition, and then at the second tryout boot camp. Nikki Natural is who brought the heat because she stood on her own. Everybody hated her. She was the most hated, and she still showed up to the reunion with that I don't give a F face. And I think I got to give it to her, because it's like, you know what? You a real bad one if you could just stand on your own, knowing nobody rocks with you.
You know what? And I will give her that. If she doesn't get anything else from this season, she held it down the best she could to be the top enemy of the show.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to say mine is Trina. Irony, because through this whole season, we literally witnessed her in a way lose everything, from losing her mom to losing the rights to her music, her album, to still wanting to nurture up and coming artists, to get that kind of snatched out the way because of how they acted. But in the end, she still persevered. She got her music back. She kind of got her peace back with just where she was with the passing of her mother and things like that. So it was a lot of evolving, I think, for Trina. And I feel like she's still on a journey of evolving and just kind of learning how to live without her mother. But I think she brought the heat this season. Like, she was still genuine. She told people off, but she had the biggest burden of everyone. Outside of Trick's health issues, she had the biggest burden, and she carried herself well throughout the whole season.
She did. Hats off to her. The fact that Nikki that's what it was that made her go backstage. The fact that Nikki had the nerve to say that sly comment that her and Trick ain't trying to put nobody on. It's like, what? Girl, she, so I look forward to even seeing what she does next season. Cause I know, how Trina is a boss. And so because Nikki even said that, she's going to make sure that she comes back and gives opportunities to the right people who deserve it this time around.
And I think she may, I feel like, you know, Chameleon and Sukihana and Hoodbrat kind of proved themselves.
Right.
So I think she may, next season, we may see her give them another chance.
Yeah.
So,
I hope so. I hope so.